Hello and welcome. In this video I'd like to try to demonstrate how to do static routes. Static routes really are not that difficult, but they can sometimes be time consuming. You have to kind of pay attention to what's there, what's available, and what's not available. In order to have a static route, we've got to have a source, and in this case I have these things broken up into networks, the 2.0, the 3.0, the 4.0, and the 5.0 networks. We have to have a source. This one would be wherever we're starting from, and then we're going to go to a destination. And the destination is going to be whatever the network we're trying to get to's address is. What we can also use in a lot of cases is what's known as a default route. In the case of this router 6 here, it can only go in one direction. There's nothing at the other end, so we can use a default route. The default route being an IP address of 0.0.0 with a subnet mask of 0.0.0.0. I think I left one of the .0s out up there. In the other end router, the same thing applies. Everything got to go in this direction. So if it's trying to get anywhere, it's got to go there. It's kind of like if you're going someplace on an interstate and you only have one entrance, you've got to use that entrance to get on the interstate. And static routing is very much like going from someplace where you are to some destination. Destination might be New York City. That's where you're going to get the route to. These other routers, you can use default routes also. We've got default routes and specific routes. On these, the only thing that we need are a default route. On these other ones, if we were one to the other, we can use, most of the traffic is going to go in this direction on this router. So we can use the default going here and then a specific route going to the .2 network. A more specific route will always override the default route. The default route is there, sometimes called the route of last resort. The default route is there so that in the absence of any other information, then that's the route it will take. Same thing with this router 4. Most of the traffic is going to go here, and we can use a specific route to go to the .5 network. With that, let's see if we can get in here and start putting some routes in. So in the router 6, we said that the only thing that we needed for it is a default route. Config T, so we do IP route 0.0.0.0 with a mask of 0.0.0.0, and then the next hop, where am I going to? And in this case, it's going to be the .6 address. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 the broadcast, 12 the network address, 13 and 14 are the addresses that we're using here. So with that, let me pause this thing and we'll put these addresses in so that they are visible. Okay, for visibility purposes, put the addresses of the interfaces here. They're all 192.168.1. something. So router 6, the next hop is going to be 192.168.1.6. So it's 192.168.1.6. And that should be the only route that we need on this router. Go to the router 5. We decided that we could use a default route for some of it, default route going to the 10 network, and a more specific route going back to the 2 network. So we can go into it and bring it up where we can actually see it. Try to bring it up where we can actually see it. And enable config T IP route 0.0.0.0 with a mask of 0.0.0.0, and it is going to go to router 5. Most of it's going to go to the .10 address. So it's going to go to the 192.168.1.10 address. And then an IP route, got to spell it right. Tab key works great. IP route 192.168.2.0. Is that right? The 2.0, and it's going to go to the .5 address. It's going to go to 192.168.1.5. Actually, I forgot something here because we've got to tell it what its subnet mask is. And it is 255.255.255.0, and it's going to go to 192.168.1.5. That should take care of the routes on this one. What I want to do is show IP routes, see some differences here. We have static routes. The S means static, and this is just a static route going to the 192.168.2 network with 24-bit mask, going to go via 192.168.1.5, and if we go back here, 1.5 is the way we want it to go. The S with an asterisk means that it is a default route. In the absence of any other information, that's where it's going to send the traffic. The static route, the more specific route, will override it, 0.0.0, and it's going to go via 192.168.1.10, and that's where we want that traffic to go. Go to our next router here, and we had similar circumstances that we were using for it. So we'll go into here and go into enable config T IP route 0.0.0.0 with a 0.0.0.0, and in this one we were going to go in the other direction, so it's going to be the .9 address, 192.168.1.9. And then we had an IP route for our more specific route. From this one, the more specific route is the 5, and it's going to go through the 14 address. 192.168.5.0 with a 255.255.255.0, and it's going to go 192.168.1.14. Is that correct? The 1.14 address. So with that should take care of the addresses on that router. Next, we're on the other end router where we should be able to simply use a default route. So we can go into here and enable config T, not tie, IP route 0.0.0.0 with a 0.0.0.0 mask, and it's going to go to the 13 address. All the traffic is going to go to the 13 address, only one way out of this router. So we're going to go 192.168.1.13. With that, that should take care of the routes that we need in the static routing area here. With that, let's close these out. Let's go over here to PC3 and see if we can actually go from here to here, from the, and this is be 5.2, and this machine over here will be the 2.2. So let us go into PC3 here and go into command prompt, and we'll try trace route so we can see where it goes to, and if it has a problem we can see where it fails. 192.168.2.2 goes through it very quickly, and now we get to the 2.2 trace complete. Our routes are complete. Using the default routes, I think, speeds things up. Don't be afraid to use them. When you put the more specific route in, if it will override what's there so that you can use those. If you take a look at this and go back and look at the ones of the 5.1 to 1.13, 1.9, 1.5, and then 2.2 is the final destination. Again, static routes, nothing really all that complex to configure. This sometimes takes some patience and some time in order to do those things. And you've got to know where you want the information to go. With that, I hope this has been useful, and I'd like to thank you for watching. Thank you.